and welcome to So Many Games Without Time. My name is Joachim, and today we'll be talking about the Kickstarters that have left my collection ever since I started to do Kickstarters, or at least ever since I started to put them down on a list. So I ordered them in time frame, so the first game that I'll talk about will be the first game that I have gotten. Right, not the first that I got rid of, just the first one that arrived on my doorstep. Now, to take it a little bit into context, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 games, but then 60 other games haven't left my collection. Okay, so even though 12 might seem maybe a lot or few, depending on who you are and your experience, 60 of them are still around for various reasons. But anyway, so the first one that has left my collection is Circadians First Light. As you can see, marked as received on September 24th in 2019. I played this a fair bit and I kind of enjoyed it. The problem is I wasn't a fan of the artwork, okay? So you can see this was my pledge. I wasn't a fan of the artwork, and the gameplay I found was okay, but I really wasn't drawn to it. And it's a dice placement game, right? You roll your dice, you place them on your board that you can't see here. Where is your board here? Your board is also hidden behind a screen. Yeah, your board is here, for example. You would place them on which die you wanted to use first and second and third, or put them on spaces in your compound to do certain things. And then afterwards, everybody would reveal, and then you start using your dice in the main area. So, for example, all these cards underneath around the board, they're all spaces where you can do actions, and also you can then move your harvester, which is the colored hexes that you see here, move it around to harvest stuff and also get points, and you get items that can give you other stuff, and you get a bunch of resources. And not a bad game, really not a bad game, but as I said, it just wasn't played enough, and in the end it had to go. So if we look at Board Game Geek, for example, and it gets a 7.7, so you can't really call that bad. And also it went back to Kickstarter. Now it looks a little bit different, as you can see here. But yeah, an okay game. Okay, I definitely didn't think this was a bad game. This, however, Spaceship Zoo was ridiculous. I mean, I thought this is just maybe some quick game that I could play with students or whatever, but it came in the mail. It was already damaged. It had an extra player board that was then completely mangled in the shipping, up to the point where, like, even if I ask for a new one, it's gonna get the exact same effect. Gameplay wise, really wasn't worth it either. My daughter played with the cards a little bit, and that was it, to be honest. Really not special. This was supposed to be then a foldable map, but it was so many creases and so on, it was just not really useful. So basically you would stack creature cards from your hand on top of the opponent's cards according to the percentage of their hunger. So if it's hungrier, then you could eat them, and then of course if you get rid of your cards first, you would win. And there were some special cards. It was like Thor's hammer or something, if I remember correctly. Anyway, this person, Sam Millen, he had a bunch of games like that. I remember that. Menage looks nice though, but then there's other stuff. Oh, get to the checkpoints. Lost in Jurassica, Lost in Straya. It's all very similar to those other ones. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, that was disappointing. So that was an easy to get rid of. I'm sure. Well, let's see if it's here and what the score is for Spaceship Zoo. It gets a 3.1. So yeah. Reavers of Midgard, I feel like I should feel bad about this, and I kind of do, because I had the Ultimate Conqueror pledge, which basically had everything, and I am a big fan of the Champions of Midgard, and I played this exactly 0 times. because when it came out, there was a lot of negative press around it, and I wasn't able to play it back then, and all the negative press really got me demotivated. So I didn't play it at all. And then always new stuff coming in, shinier stuff, and always in the back of my mind, it's not that good. And then some people would say, oh, it's not that bad either, but it never got better, never got too awesome, I felt. So, and then came calling time. I needed to make space. Like the game trays were horrible when they first arrived. There was a lot of stuff about that, and the cards were also not the linen ones, I think. Anyway, I ended up selling it without even playing it, which is stupid. You should always at least play it once to get an idea. But yeah, let's see how much Reavers of Midgard received on Board Game Geek. It gets a rating of 7.5. Alright, so it should be a decent game, right? Should be good. Alright, so next up is Runika and the Six-Sided Spellbook. Now, I talked about this a little bit in my wish list because there's another game of this creator that I wanted in the past, but not anymore. So it was fun solo. Multiplayer was horrible because there's so much AP, it doesn't move forward. What's cool is you have these rotating discs that you would put on your board, and you can then spin it as you wanted to. The dice look amazing. It's basically a puzzle, right? The dice are placed on your board, and then you move them around to try to get these these requirements done, so you can get the bonuses and everything. Theme-wise, it's pretty much zero because you just do the puzzles, right? There's nothing story about it, but it looks nice. And solo, you would fight these different professors and everything. And solo, I liked it, but I wasn't blown away, you know. So once again, when Colin came around, I was like, oh, I want to play other solo games. I think this was okay, but yeah, it didn't grab me enough. So in the end, I got rid of it. So let's see what this got. What this gets as a score, 7.2. So you see, acceptable, right? Good game. Doable. Okay, and then we have Live Siphon. Live Siphon, I spent too much money on. I still think it looks cool, but I played the solo mode. I played once with 2 players, and I don't know. I just felt it didn't have enough, even though it had the looks, right? Because it looks cool. I don't know, it just didn't grab me the way I wanted to grab me, because you basically every round you have a certain amount of points that you can spend, or you can spend more, but then you lose health, and you're bringing out these minions onto the board. You see, summon. You can use your life up to summon up to 3 familiars and move each familiar once. So you put them on, then they move forward, and then when they reach the middle, they start fighting, right? And then you also have cards you can play to interfere or change things around. You can also gain aspects that can give you powerful powers. But yeah, it's just, once again, it just didn't grab me enough, you know. Maybe some of you have this game or think which is really awesome. And it did look really awesome, but play-wise, I don't know. I don't know what I expected, to be honest. I should have known this before I backed, but yeah. Anyway. Catacombs Cubes. So this one I actually really liked, but didn't play it enough. Yeah. So I had the playmat and everything. Basically, you're collecting resources from the mines that are available, and then you're using these resources. You can see the Tetris pieces. You use them to either build one of these prototypes and then flip the tile and add it to the town, or you would add them to help build palaces for more points. And that's basically how you play, right? You gather the stuff and then you build your town. And it was fun. But in the end, I don't know, I didn't play it enough. And then a friend of mine with kids said she really liked it. Her kids really liked it when I lent it out to them. And I said, you know what? If you want, just have it. Just you can take it over from me, because even though I like it, it's not getting enough play. It's not getting the attention it deserves. So yeah, but I really love the art, and yeah, this is actually a good game. But let's see how it's scored on Board Game Geek. It gets a 6.8. Okay, I would have expected a little bit more, but yeah, okay. Then rival restaurants. I talked about this in somewhere else, I'm sure, about how disappointed I was with this game, because they say, oh, this game is all about negotiating, because you have your chef, you have your recipes you want to do, but you have to go to the market, and it might be you and someone else at the same spot, so you have to negotiate with the timer about who gets what, and so on, all these different locations, and it makes it fun and it's chaotic. But what turned me off is that when we started comparing the chef powers to each other, or not the chef powers, but the powers of the restaurants to each other, some restaurants were way easier. Like they had powers that could not be stopped. Like they would happen every round regardless. While I had a chef that had required tofu, but then tofu kept not coming out, so all my skills were useless. So the negotiation stuff was okay, but then when you have such a discrepancy between powers, where some powers require certain elements to be there, but then they're buried in a deck and they're not coming out, or when they do come out, it's late in the game and doesn't really matter, or you get bonus points for certain recipes, bonus actions for certain recipes, but then you don't get that recipe, and then they say, yeah, but you can trade with other people, but then those also don't get those recipes. It's another power that's like poof. And they say, yeah, but this is a relaxed game, it's half party game kind of, so don't worry about all that. I'm a gamer, I worry about all that stuff. So yeah, that had to go, because I just didn't enjoy it all that much, and the other people played were just like, meh, it's okay. So yeah. Then we have It's a Wonderful World Ascension, but this was actually more the heritage version that I backed for. So this heritage version that puts the original and those two expansions together. I enjoyed it, but I got rid of it for one very simple reason. I got It's a Wonderful Kingdom, which I enjoyed even more. So then I was like, okay, then this can actually go. So that's what happened in the end. So It's a Wonderful World is a good game. It's an engine builder. Can be a little bit AP-ish sometimes if you overthink stuff. But yeah, it's a good game, really good game. So what's cool about it is you get your resources and you can build a card, but you do it phase by phase. You start on the left and you finish at the end. So whatever produces these white cubes, they produce first, then the black cubes, then are green, then yellow, then blue. But if during the gray phase you manage to build a card that gives you green cubes, then you will get them when you use. Okay, all these colors have a name, okay, but I've forgotten about it. So anyway, so that's the cool part about all that stuff. Yeah, so if it looks interesting, check it out. For me, this is left because I liked It's a Wonderful World, Wonderful Kingdom better. Valor Villainy is my second shame of this whole series that I did now, this video, because I also played this exactly 0 times. And why? Because it's a one versus many game that takes a very long time to play. In general, the reviews when it came out, like I did the unboxing and everything, but then I didn't get it to the table because I cannot play it solo, obviously. And then you cannot play one versus many, it was one against one person. Because the people I play with, I mean, they're just casual gamers. They're not going to say, I'm going to control 4 people or whatever. So while I was waiting to get it played, I saw more and more people saying, oh, it takes way too long to play. It takes 3 hours to finish and so on. So it demotivated me again. And I actually put $1 in Ludwig's Labyrinth, which is the next Kickstarter, but I ended up not backing it in the backer kit or Gamefound or whatever they use in the Pledge Manager. But you can see the art, right? It's similar to Catacombs Cubes. So I really liked the idea of everything about it, but it was so difficult to get it to the table. That was like, I cannot wait any longer. This has been here for so long. Like I got it in January 2021. I think I sold it last month, right? So I needed to make space because with all this stuff around it, I mean, let's see what it gets on IMDb. I didn't do rival restaurants. Let's do that one quickly. I'm sure that gets a good score because it was popular. So rival restaurants gets a 7.8. See, and then Valor and Villainy here, Minions of Mordak, gets also 7.8. Yeah, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have given it a chance. Well, I definitely should have played it once at least. But yeah. The next one is Die of the Dead. Okay, so I wanted this because I love everything to do with Mexico and Mexican art and everything. So when I saw it, it was like, oh, Day of the Dead, great, a dice game. But then we played it, and I won. But it was just like, eh. Because what's special about this is you have these coffins, right? So you have your own dice and you can spend dice to put them in the coffin. And when the coffin reaches a certain spot, it will get shaken and then revealed. And then depending on the value of the dice, people get to do stuff. So the appeal is the shaking of the coffins and not knowing where your dice is, because people could reorder the caskets. They could add dice, they could remove dice, and so on. But yeah, in the end I won, but I really didn't do much to me, to be honest. So even though it looked nice, I didn't particularly enjoy it much, so I got rid of it as well. For most of these games, you can see unboxings on the channel, by the way, if you want to check it out. And I'm enthusiastic for most of those because I hadn't played the game yet. So Die of the Dead, let's see how much that got. Die for the Dead, no. Die of the Dead. Let's see, 6.9. Yeah, okay. And the next one is Dollars to Donuts. This one is very simple, easy to explain. I thought it was too simple. It's too basic. It's Gateway, basically. Not very crazily difficult, too easy. Basically, on your turn, you would take one of these tiles with donuts on them. If you don't have any money, it's free. If you have money, you would maybe take one of the other ones. Then put it on your board. If you manage to combine some donuts, you get those donuts. Those donuts are worth points, but you can also use those donuts to give them to customers, which would then give you more points. And that's basically it. But then you also have some expansions that allows you to put some stuff on the customers. Also, the customers have sets because they come from different areas, and if you have the different areas together, they give you more points. But yeah, it's just not complicated enough, I guess. It just was, I was playing, I was just like, no. So yeah, that went out really quickly. But if you're a big fan of donuts and it's like, yeah, you could play this with kids easily, right? But it's very, very simple. You can see it: buy a tile, place a tile, collect rewards, serve customers. I don't know. I think I would, when I backed it, I think I expected it to like it a lot more because of the theme and everything. But in the end, yeah, it just didn't happen. Then Hippocrates, for anyone who has seen the unboxing and the solo playthrough, they know why I got rid of this one. The main board was huge, really huge, and that's part of maybe my fault as well, because maybe they say it here. Yeah, they said it here how big it actually was. I didn't check. I'm being 100% honest here. I didn't check. I just got it because I thought it looked really cool and everything. And I checked the gameplay. I thought it would be cool too. But in the end, the gameplay didn't blow me away. What is special about it is hugely AP inducing, because even in the first phase, you have to keep in mind the second and the third phase from the beginning, from the get-go, to maximize it. But it just, the whole game takes up too much space. Like, this is a big board, yes, okay. But then here you have the doctors, right? Those are the big tiles. And this looks okay. But if this person gets another doctor and that has to be combined with this guy or this guy, suddenly you need even more space. And then it can really go into different directions. And of course, your choice of which patients or which doctors you get shouldn't depend on, oh, I need to limit my table space. So space really bothered me, especially because this middle part is kept for the expansion that will come out later this year or next year or whatever, which is silly, because what if you don't like the expansion? Then it's still on the board, right? Why not have whatever. I'm not going to start all over there. It's my own fault for not checking the size. I agree. But then the gameplay didn't make me go like, oh yeah, it's okay, I can live with it, I'll keep it. So it's a mix of both of them. Bad game? Definitely not. It's an okay game, you know, but I'm trying to keep the great games because I have space problems. So how much does it get so far? It's fairly new, 6.9. So I think I'm not the only one who was disappointed in the final product. Alright, that's it. Those are the Kickstarters that have arrived and that I didn't want, that arrived and then I ended up getting rid of for various reasons, as you could see. I'm sure there'll be more in the future. Some of the Kickstarters I've gotten are also in Belgium, where I haven't been for 2 years now. So yeah, I have a bunch more Kickstarters coming in. I'm sure we cannot have 100% success rate. There will be games in there that are like, and if I look here, what kind of Kickstarters do I have here that I still haven't played yet? Actually very few. So at least that's good. Okay, but we'll stop there. My name was Joachim. As usual, this was so many games all the time. And I'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.